It is the largest cash seizure in Miami-Dade police history. Over $24 million found inside the
1.8 million right here. The $20 bills section.
You almost have to stop for a second and ask yourself one simple question. What would any normal person even do with $330 million in cash sitting in one place? That exact question is what turned this story into an online firestorm. After explosive claims began spreading that federal investigators had supposedly taken a serious interest in Floyd Mayweather's Miami property, and according to the version of events now being pushed across social media, this attention didn't just appear out of nowhere. People have been tying it to years of tax trouble dating back to his active fighting career, then stacking that on top of lawsuits, debt claims, alleged financial misconduct, and even shady crypto-related business controversy. So in the eyes of the internet, this was never being
money made all day. You know, right here, a light million. Over there, counting up another million over there. Walk with me, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you into my life. So Andrew Jackson, of course, is on the 20. Benjamin Franklin right here. You know, money made all day. We in the bank, doing what we do best, counting money.
That is where the story starts getting even more intense. The rumor says authorities first tried the most obvious route possible: go through the banking channels, freeze what could be frozen, follow the transfers, and trace the money the standard legal way. But according to the online narrative, that plan supposedly ran into a wall because Floyd allegedly keeps only a small percentage of his fortune sitting inside traditional bank accounts. That is where this entire story takes a sharp cinematic turn, because if the money could not be fully located through the usual systems, then attention, according to the rumor mill, began shifting toward the places where real secrets could be.
Cash was behind this wall in the attic, packed in orange Home Depot buckets, 150 grand in If the version spreading online is to be believed, Floyd's Las Vegas property did not reveal nearly what people expected it might. Since Vegas was reportedly the place where he spent more of his time, many claim it was cleaner, tighter, more controlled, and far less revealing. But the Miami mansion, that is where the internet says everything changed. According to the most dramatic retellings of the story, investigators allegedly discovered a heavily secured hidden room, something so protected, so private, and so difficult to access that it supposedly took hours to open. And that one detail is exactly what turned this from a
money made, that's all I do is get money. Today is a rose gold day, as you can see.
From there, the rumor only gets bigger, darker, and more dramatic. According to the claims, everyone on the property, from security staff to workers to anyone else present, was allegedly detained, separated, or questioned while authorities tried to determine who knew what, who had access, and who might be hiding information. But the wildest part of the story is this: supposedly no one admitted to knowing how to actually open the room. That single detail is what made the whole thing feel less like real life and more like a crime movie. The internet ran with the idea instantly, and then came the part that truly lit social media on fire. After repeated
the $20 bills section. We like to call this the Andrew Jackson section, but I like to call it wallpaper. 200,000 in 20s.
At the same time, Floyd Mayweather himself was allegedly nowhere to be found, at least according to the online version now circulating. And that absence only made everything look even more suspicious to the public. The story claims the property was eventually locked down, the people inside were removed, and the mansion was placed under watch while investigators examined not only the cash, but also documents that were supposedly discovered inside the hidden space. Those papers, according to the rumor, may have raised even bigger questions than the money itself, and possibly pushed the issue beyond a simple financial inquiry into something much more serious. Since then, one of the loudest claims repeated online is that Floyd was called in for questioning, but has not publicly responded in any
like 1.8 million, you know how it is. Check it out. Let them know it's all hundreds. Money made.
That is exactly why the story exploded the way it did. The second it started spreading, fans, critics, trolls, and gossip pages all rushed online to pour gasoline on the fire. Some mocked the idea completely and joked that Floyd had finally been caught red-handed sitting on mountains of suspicious cash. Others went even further, sarcastically claiming he probably had fake money mixed in with the real stacks just to keep up the image. Social media did what it always does best. It took a serious allegation, mixed it with comedy, ego, envy, and speculation, and turned the whole thing into a viral circus. People joked that the self-proclaimed king of cash had finally been and the comments did not stay playful for long. A lot of them got brutal. Some users said his home sounded like a real-life board game built on bragging, greed, ego, and tax problems. Others mocked his personality, saying the size of the alleged cash stash matched the size of the persona he spent years trying to project to the world. A few went as far as saying that if that kind of money truly existed, it should be seized and redirected to people who actually need help. Then came the darker jokes, with critics sarcastically suggesting that maybe all those exhibition fights were cash heavy for a reason. That is the internet in its rawest form. Once it decides you are a symbol.
Of course, in this world, you know, I don't always play into, worry about what anyone says about me. But I wasn't doing nothing today. I said, let me have some fun. Let me play with the people.
Yeah.
And, actually, man, something I want to show you. Then let me show you something.
Okay.
I
like being educated.
Okay. Man,
what makes the public reaction even more intense is the fact that Floyd has spent years building an image that does not just show wealth, it performs wealth. He never sold himself as merely successful. He sold himself as untouchably rich, visibly rich, aggressively rich. His brand has always been built around luxury in the most obvious form possible. Private jets, rare watches, giant bags, custom jewelry, designer pieces, exotic cars, and tables covered in cash. In one of his more flex-heavy posts, he reportedly showed off a rare Arnold Schwarzenegger watch. What he
really show account numbers. But man, last time I checked, it's still right there.
Ooh, hold on, let me get. Oh shit.
Man, it's still right there.
Oh shit.
I still got it.
Okay.
I still got it just for the record. I still got it just for the record.
Okay. Damn. Shit could be bullshitting.
Still got it just for the record. I still got the 100. Still got 100 million I ain't never even touched. That's just for the record.
He even doubled down in the caption, delivering one of those classic Mayweather statements that blend pride, provocation, defiance, and self-mythology all in one shot. The message was obvious. People can whisper, hate, judge, or resent him all they want, but in his eyes, he is still a self-made black man who came from poverty, beat the odds, built legal wealth, and refuses to apologize for displaying what he earned. He framed the image not as arrogance, but as proof, as independence, as celebration, as a trophy for surviving every doubt that ever followed him. And that is exactly why these current rumors have become so irresistible to the public. Because they directly collide with the image he worked so hard to maintain. On one side,
Time to go, let's go.
Man.
It's just for the record.
That's just for the record. That's crazy though that after all these years, they still.
It doesn't. The thing is this, man. You must realize this. Just about life. The thing is this. If you don't have no money, you ain't gonna have no money problems. You know what I'm saying? For you to even have any.
And Floyd did not stop there. In another post aimed straight at his critics, he basically laughed at the people who spent years complaining that all he ever talks about is his money, his jewelry, his cars, his houses, his clothes, his women, and his lifestyle. His attitude?
was essentially this: while you were hating for 20 years, I was building for 20 years. That has always been the Floyd Mayweather mindset. He treats criticism like evidence that he matters. He turns backlash into fuel, doubt into branding, and hate into free promotion. But this time, the public response felt different. People were no longer just
or keep them talking about what you're doing. It's obvious you must making some noise some type of way. So I'm making some noise some type of way. Whether it's in the ring or out the ring. Like I showed the people, actually, I paid, I think it was in 2015, I think I paid them, that was just 3 checks, but I gave him another check. I think I gave him over 34 million. That's what I paid. And so go down here, look at the color up top. To go to bed. Time to go to bed. See you guys when I land.
The photos only made that reaction even stronger. At one point, he reportedly posted huge wads of cash spread across the floor, the kind of image designed to scream abundance, dominance, and untouchable success. Then came the airport shot where he posed near his custom private jet, silver and gold details glistening, TMT stamped boldly across the rear wing, and Mayweather written clearly along the side. In that moment, he dropped one of the most classic Floyd lines imaginable, bragging that all of this was not bad for a high school dropout. To supporters, it felt bold, motivational, and symbolic of triumph. To critics, it felt like overcompensation.
Half of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he's in Nevada, so which is no state tax. So basically, all you have to do is give him that 33%.
Yeah.
Skip, I get it, and I get the fact like all they're gonna do is waste my money anyway, but that's not the way you do it.
The reactions were deeply divided, but the negative side was loud and relentless. Some users openly called him insecure. Others argued that anyone who feels the need to show off that aggressively is usually trying to hide something much deeper. A few brought back the old criticism that Floyd has always been obsessed with proving himself, because at some level he never truly feels secure. Others mocked him for trying to package luxury as inspiration while doing little more than flooding timelines with status symbols. But not everybody joined the pile-on. Plenty of fans still defended him, saying his success story remains one of the greatest examples of discipline, focus, sacrifice, and skill in.
These 4 special timepieces right here come as a package. Forbes just done a crazy story on the Hue collection. I need you guys to go check it out. Now, when I travel, I like to take 7 watches, 7 Ivy & Co watches. Now, I know in the past, I talked about 30 watches, 40 watches, but now it's all about the Hue collection and these 3 watches. Ivy & Co, Let's Go, the Hue collection.
Still, the tax story refuses to leave his name alone, and that is one of the biggest reasons the rumors keep finding new life online. Some critics even claimed that a tax receipt Floyd posted on social media may not have been exactly what it seemed, accusing him of using it more as a tool to shape public perception than as real proof capable of settling the deeper concerns surrounding his finances. Whether that accusation has any truth behind it or not, the fact that people are willing to question even the paperwork tells you how damaged public
This is wild.
Well, and not to mention that could be proven, right? You just take the camera. You don't have to tell the audience it's sold out. Just take the camera and show us if it's sold out. I mean, it's as simple as doing that. Can I tell you one that's interesting? Floyd Mayweather, just before he came Floyd, he was Pretty Boy Floyd, in fact, at the time. The year was 2005. Portland, my hometown, and he fought Sean Bay Mitchell, who was a former world champion. So they fought
the tassel shorts.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Good memory, by the way. Guzman promoted that.
To be fair, Floyd Mayweather's money story really is enormous. He is widely recognized as one of the richest athletes of his era, and throughout his boxing career, he earned the kind of fight purses that most competitors will never come close to imagining. Even after stepping away from elite professionals competition, he continued bringing in money through exhibitions
exhibitions, business ventures, endorsements, appearances, and property ownership. And that is exactly why the contradictions are so fascinating to the public. On one side, you have a man who has generated historic revenue, broken records, and built a brand worth hundreds of millions. On the other side, you have recurring tax headlines.
We had to pay, what? Cut a $100 million check to the IRS. Yeah. Give him $100 million. Now, if someone in this camp introduced him to someone that knew the game and that could save him money, he would look at that as a business move.
Floyd himself has never been shy about talking about taxes in public. In one of his more boastful posts, he reportedly claimed he had paid an 8-figure tax bill and used that number as a flex, essentially telling the world that if he owed that much, then people should imagine how much he must have made in the first place. In another post, he allegedly said he had just paid the IRS around $18 million while retired, challenging people to think about what the number must have looked like back when he was fully active and collecting the biggest paydays of his career. Statements like that are designed to sound.
But then he has security. Well, if it don't work, at least got the money to pay him off. So I think it's a low risk, high reward for him. So I think in that situation, people with money like Mayweather, they be like, all right, I'll try.
Then there is the legal side, which adds another layer of complexity to the entire story. Reports from years back suggested that Floyd had disputes involving tax payments and that his team at one point used the legal process to buy time while waiting for incoming fight money. According to that coverage, one argument centered around the idea that some of his wealth was tied up in illiquid holdings, meaning the money may have existed in assets, businesses, or other forms on paper, but was not instantly available as usable cash the moment a large bill came due. And that distinction matters more than many people realize. Because
I really am disappointed. The thing is that Floyd is what they call an independent contractor. And what happens is that when you become an independent contractor, Skip, if you make $230 million, they give you 2 checks or a check for $230 million. It is up to you.
the bigger picture becomes even more fascinating when people compare the two famous versions of Floyd Mayweather, Pretty Boy Floyd and Money Mayweather. In the Pretty Boy era, he was all about speed, violence, sharpness, hunger, and pure boxing ambition. In the Money Mayweather era, he evolved into something bigger than a fighter. He became a businessman, a brand, a luxury symbol, a master of defense, IQ, and marketing, all rolled into one. It almost felt like two separate careers lived inside the same person. In the earlier days, he was still rising, still proving himself, still earning serious money, but not yet operating as a global empire of visible excess. In the later years, the checks grew larger, the image became louder, and the character transformed into something far